Walk with me.
From the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips, Selah. Keep me, O I am, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent men who have purposed to overthrow my goings. The proud have heard a snare for me, and cords have they spread a net by the wayside. They have set gins for me, Selah. I say unto thee, I am, thou art my God. Hear the voice of my supplication, O I am. O God, the I am, the strength of my salvation. I have covered my head in the day of battle. Grant not, O I am, the desires of the wicked. Further not his wicked device, lest they exalt themselves, Selah. As for the head of those that compass me about, let the mischief of their own lips cover them. Let burning coals fall upon them. Let them be cast into the fire, into deep pits, that they rise not up again. Let not an evil speaker be established in the earth. Even shall hunt the violent man to overthrow him. I know that the I am will maintain the cause of the afflicted and the right of the poor. Surely the righteous shall give thanks unto thy name. The upright shall dwell in thy presence. Psalms chapter 140, KJV. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts. And let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my children, or me and my seed forever, that we go not astray henceforth and forevermore. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yes, we thank God for you and you on this beautiful, far as the Gregorian calendar, first day of the week. It's the 6th day of the week as far as, well, should I say the 5th day of the week as far as God's calendar. Yes, the 5th day of the week. We thank God for that. We don't go by the full moon as far as the Sabbath days and the new months. We don't go by the full moon. That's just like taking a 35-year-old man when the life expectancy is 70 years old and telling them you're just new. That's midlife. That's midlife right there. The new moon, the full moon is mid. It's the middle of the month. It's around the 15th or the middle of the month is when the full moon comes. Even in the Gregorian calendar, you get the full moon in basically when it comes in the middle of the month. I mean, any fool can understand that the full moon, or even the Gregorian calendar, don't make any sense when it comes to the wisdom and knowledge of the Most High and the way He calls His sun and the moon and the stars to work. It doesn't make any sense. Even the soothsayers and astrologers go by the moon, and they understand how that the moon is old when it comes and is ready to go into darkness. Just like when you die, you grow old and you grow into darkness. But when a person is born, it's renewed and the light is shown and the baby comes out small. Yes, it is small. Some of you, your heads are screwed up. You have an opinion not based on facts, because some of you don't even go to the book of Enoch or Jubilees or Jasher, because you see that it's really contrary to what you see. Even the scriptures teach the same thing as far as the scriptures that you read in the 66 Greek books, or whatever you want to call it, Pentateuch. Septuagint even says the same thing. But the fact is, we digress. The fact is, we're thankful to God for you, and also with the hands of praise, we thank God for those of you that have been with us since the beginning, and those of you that have been with us thereafter and here and there's about. And we thank God for those of you that are about to subscribe, yet alone those of you who have just subscribed. Yes, we thank God for you. Yes, thanking all praises to Most High even for you. Yes, you're walking with Mr. Clay. I'm Mr. Clay. These Bible readings and commentaries and what have you are, it's just like a walk in the park or walking down the street with a tour guide or someone that just wants to tell you the meaning or point out something to you that you should ponder on or study about, or even come up with more commentary, something that we missed. Can't get it all, but either way, the whole thing is about the laws, statutes, ordinances, commandments of the Most High, even His judgments. Yes, that's what it's all about, that we adhere to those things and that we get them right. The Sabbath is very important. This is why I stay on it. Very important to understand what days, even your feast days. When you get onto your feast, some of us can't do feast days at all. You're stuck in the cities and maybe in some areas where there's nothing but Christians and Muslims, and you cannot even do these things. You don't even know where to go. And some of you don't even have the means to get where you need to go. And you're stuck. So you say, well, I'm going to go to church. Ain't nothing else around here. But the fact is, this is where you learn to condition yourself to be with God alone. This is where you condition yourself to say, it's me and my God. You're a woman, you're married to a Christian man, you say, well, honey, he says, well, let's go to church. Well, you go to church with him. Don't mean you have to deal with it. Just know your God and know what you believe about God and how you understand the Most High. Maybe you're a man with a wife that's Christian. You don't have to go to church with her. But the fact is that you leave it alone until she starts bringing those things detrimental to you, or causing those things detrimental to you and your way, that you and the way you understand the Most High and how He has shown you. These things are very important. Yes, especially the Sabbath. And then circumcising your young. Please do that. I mean, who's going to know the difference whether you circumcise them or the doctor circumcise? All you do is get education on how to do it. Because many times it's true. One person says when the heathen circumcise your children, they take too much skin off the boy. The boy God didn't tell you to take that much skin off. He just says just take a little bit off. And when that little bit off you take off, it will be just enough, because it will not bunch up or bell up or whatever you want to call it. It won't do that, where he has to exercise it to even get it to stretch over to become, elastic and all that stuff. So you learn how to circumcise. Even the women, they can do it. Women have done it in the past. But make sure you understand and know how the procedure works. It's really not complicated at all. It stings, but hey. And then afterwards it gets very sore. That's where the pain comes in, is afterwards while it's healing. So therefore, circumcision, even for the older man, it's the same thing. It stings, and then eventually trying to heal is painful and sore, as long as you keep it clean and, just take some time off till it, that area heals a little bit, and then you can go back to what you were doing. And then it's still on its way healing, but it's not as bad as the first few weeks or the first week or two. So therefore, you're going to heal. Trust me, you're going to heal. Now we're in the book of Judges. The book of Judges. Now we're in chapter 8 as you prepare, and in chapter 7 we hear that Gideon, which was also renamed Jerubbaal by the heathen, because he cast down the image of this Baal god. Yes, that's what he did. I'm being careful and some circumspect on how I mention that name in context of instructional purposes only before the Most High. Yes, he said, be careful in his commandments. He said, thou shalt not mention the names of these gods, but for instructional purposes we have to mention. And God did too. God mentioned it throughout the words and stuff that these gods are so. And this is for your learning, for you, that you might know when these things are approaching you. And this so-called spirit has wreaked havoc throughout the world. But he's given that space for the wayfaring soul, the soul that regardless and have been pumped up and conditioned by devils and demons and fallen angels to say God is not real. Yes, and to lead them away from God as God has commanded them. Now, those of you who study the Word of God, you will know and you will understand. So, getting to the 8th chapter of the book of Judges. Now, after Jerubbaal, a.k.a., Gideon, a.k.a. Jerubbaal, to them, it reads, he got his victory. And it reads, the men of Ephraim said unto him, why hast thou served us thus, that thou callest us not when thou wentest to fight with the Midianites? You wasn't called. God called Gideon. And he told Gideon to choose how what? There was thousands of men, but he boiled it down to only 300 men. And then that was it. And they did chide with him sharply. In other words, this was in the spirit realm first. In other words, we couldn't get the glory out of it. See, Ephraim was being wicked at this time, whether they knew it or not. They were being wicked. Be careful of how you look at the things of God, and you put them down and you don't understand. That's why God says it's best that you understand and know me. And he said unto them, what have I done now in comparison of you? Is not the gleaning of grapes of Ephraim better than the vintage of Abiezer? Huh? You got it good. What good is it? This Abiezer was the one that was messing up. And God hath delivered into your hands the prince of Midian, Oreb, and Zeb. And what was I able to do in comparison of you? Then their anger was abated toward him. And when he had said that, in other words, you got it good. You had it better. So what are you fussing about? It wasn't about demons and fallen angels and spirits. Devils or Satans were in this whole thing right here. I see this thing spiritually, but even more so. See, when people start arguing and things come up in your life that you had no control over, and then they start coming at you with all kind of stuff, jealousies and envies and strifes, then you know this is the work of devils. The work of the Satans. They're coming against you, man. I'm trying to teach you something here. Come on, let's go. He said, and Gideon came to Jordan and passed over, and the 300 men that were with him faint and pursuing them. Now they were tired. I mean, when war is not just glitter and gold like you see on Call of Duty or your different war things, whether you fighting other factions or whether you fighting critters and creatures and space invaders. No, it's not like that. You're going to get tired. When he had said that, in verse 4, Gideon came to Jordan and passed over, and he said, the 300 men that were with him faint and yet pursuing, verse 5, and he said unto them, the men of Succoth. Now this is another set of people, Succoth. Give, I pray you, loaves of bread unto the people that follow me, for they be faint, and I am pursuing after Zebah and Zalmunna, king of Midian. He said, give me some bread. Don't you know bread has, although it's just flour, it has carbs in it. Carbs give you energy. Yes, carbs give you energy. Forgive the train if you hear that whistle. But either way, carbs have energy. Carbs give energy. It just strengthens you. Get your spirit right. Have you ever went somewhere and then you just had I remember even in the military where we was tired and faint and we just got off the plane and everything, and then we had to go over to, it was a reforger, I believe. Well, I was in 2 branches of service. But the fact is, we were tired, and the Germans came over with some, or should I say the Belgians came and they issued some broaching or some bread, yeast bread with balls and some Coca-Cola. Don't you know our spirits got high and everything, and we were ready to go tackle this thing, because it's work loading for to go overseas to practice with other people and then to come back home and practice too. And unload and unlock and everything else. And then you have to do the maneuvers that you do. He says now, and Gideon says, wherefore when the I am hath delivered Zebah and Zalmunna unto thy hands, then I will tear your flesh with thorns of the wilderness with bears. He said, because you don't want to, you know we do this for you. And you don't want to give us bread. And he went up to thence to Penuel and spake unto them likewise. And when the men of Penuel answered him as the men of Socoh, we're not going to give you no bread either. Yeah. And answered them, he spake unto the men of Penuel, saying, when I come again in peace, I will break down this tower. Now Zebah and Zalmunna was in Kakor, and their hosts with them about 15,000 men, and all that were left to all the host of the children of the east. For there fell 120,000 men that drew sword. I mean, the 300 versus who? 20,000 men? Impossible. But even as those explain that I've heard actual men that come from Vietnam and have actually fought in the fight. I was nothing but post Vietnam. But either way, they actually fought in the fight, and next thing you know, they said, well, you know, just one sniper, or maybe 2 or 3 of them, wipe out a whole squad. It's a platoon, half a platoon or something. A platoon is a culmination of 13 men, which conventions, you know, also it's 13 men. You have a squad, 13 men. You in the textbook, and then you have a staff sergeant, or and then from there you have your different fire teams. You know, you have 3 fire teams in one squad, and then you times that 13 times 4. Okay. No, I don't know what the answer is. Yes, I do. But either way, and Gideon went up by the way of them that dwelt in tents on the east of Nobah. 20,000 men against 300. Very great odds. And Jogbeah. See, now they have to have, these men fought with just swords and spears. They didn't have bombs and nuclear bombs and all this stuff where they can play Ender's Game and, you know, just wipe them all out and then it's all just said, like the U.S. did Japan. Just wipe them all out and now, you know, here you got them eating out of your hand. No, it's God didn't play that. He said, these is going to multiply. I'm going to multiply their power. I'm going to multiply them to come against your 20,000. And so Gideon went up by the way of them that dwelt in tents on the east side of Nobah, and Jogbeah, and smote the host, for the host was secure. And when Zebah and Zalmunna, fled, and he pursued after them, and took the 2 kings of Midian, Zebah and Zalmunna, and discomfited all the host. And Gideon the son of Joash returned from the battle before the sun was up. You know, it was at night before the sun came up. It was a new day. See, the day begins in the dark. That's how the day begins. And then becomes light. And that is the morning. That's when the sun comes up. That's when you have a new day. But it starts at night. Not at noon. The sun is not noon. It's not morning at noon. I'm getting at these Sabbath people who believe that this thing, the full moon is the Sabbath. You just as evil as you look. But either way. And called a young man of the men of Succoth and inquired of him, and he described unto him the princes of Succoth and the elders thereof, even 70 men. What? 47 men is what he's saying. Now 67 men is what it was. And he came unto the men of Succoth and said, behold, Zebah and Zalmunna, whom ye did upbraid me, saying, The hands of Zebah and Zalmunna are now in thine hand, that we should give bread unto the men that are weary. Now here they are weary. They still haven't had any bread yet. But they need something to give them some strength to fight. Rest just don't cut it at times. You're just tired. You need something to rejuvenate you. You need all that stuff in you. It's not nutritious to eat bread all the time, but it sure gets to the spot where you need it. Energy. And he took the elders of the city and thorns of the wilderness and bears, and with them he taught the men of Succoth. And he beat down the tower of Penuel and slew them of the city. And then he said unto Zebah and Zalmunna, what manner of men were they whom ye slew at Tabor? And they answered, as thou wert, so were they. Each one resembled the children of a king. In other words, could they all have been the children of the king? You have to realize a lot of kings back then had many wives, and to ensure loyalty, they would have these children by these women. And this would ensure that the kingdom would rule on in that king's name, because he had his own family doing it. And a lot of things today, you see villages and kingdoms in these societies that have children by their wives, many children. And their name just lives on, period. This was one reason for, should I say, polygyny. Not polygamy or whatever the poly you got, polygyny, as the English would put it, or in the English language, polygyny, having many wives, but not sleeping in the same bed, not having many husbands, because who's the father? Give me a break, woman. You just, to put it plainly, you just in promiscuity. Period. Because your marriages to all these men is invalid before the Most High. Period. Whether you believe in them or not, you're gonna mess around and find out anyway. Now, and you men, sometimes I wonder about them. You in like I'm not gonna go into depth, but you in like a mixed soup there. Baby come out half one man and half the other. Let me leave this alone. How make this make sense? I mean, I'm just jesting here. That's all, just jesting. And he said, they were my brethren, even the sons of my mother. And as the I am liveth, if ye had saved them alive, I would not slay you. What was he talking about? What manner of men were they that slew at Tabor? He said, and they answered, as thou art, so were they. Each one resembled the children of a king. And he said, they were my brethren. Yes, even the sons of my mother. They were the sons of his mother. As the I am liveth, if ye had saved them alive, I would not slay you. And he said unto Jether, his firstborn, up, slay them. But the youth drew not his sword, for he feared, because he was yet a youth. Then Zebah and Zalmunna said, rise thou and fall upon us, for as a man is, so is his strength. And Gideon rose and slew Zebah and Zalmunna and took away the ornaments that were on their camel's neck. These were black folks. You can holler, rant, and rave, whatever you are, Arab, you call yourself Arab, they were black folks. You're not Arab. You call yourself Egyptian, you were born in Egypt. You may be born in Arabia, but that's it. That's not your heritage. That's not your father. Neither, most of you, is not even your mother. Or your mother had some relation with some black guy. Okay. Then the men of Israel said unto Gideon, rule over us, both thou and thy sons. Now this is the first, should I say, excuse me, the first time a king is mentioned in Israel, as far as the Bible is concerned, as far as I see. The first time a king is mentioned, the first time men begin to reject God, reject the rulership and authority of the Most High. So you're going to go by the opinions of men You're going to go by the opinions of and whatever they want and lust after, just like the heathen, and reject God, who allows you to be strong and valiant, who allows you to be that which is free. God doesn't meddle in your affairs like your pastor does, given the power by your wife. That's why most men are not in church or in your Christianity mess. And then here he is, you wonder why all the children in the church, just about a lot of children, and women got husbands, but the children look like the pastor or the deacon. Because these men are held in high esteem to these women. It's time for you to leave them women alone. When they start esteeming their pastor, it's time for you to just break the band. Boom. When they start esteeming their deacons and all this, everything come out as pastor, deacon, give me my papers and let me go. Because they have given your authority over to these men. Did God take those authorities? No. It was taken by a lie that they say spirit overshadowed Mary. But this is the spirit didn't have shadow Mary. It overshadowed your wife. Or it was overshadowed in those things. Now it's the deaconess there. We see. I haven't delved into that, but we'll see. But the fact is, no, you don't give your authority of your wife. She shouldn't give your authority over to another man, regardless of his status in the Most High. Even that of the mother of Samson, and even with Elijah, that mother she talked to the man, but she didn't give the authority of her husband over to that man that was over her. No, she didn't. Don't work that way. And then that woman, if you find out your pastor is trying to delve into you and trying to take authority over things in your family and your life with your family, it's time for you to leave. You're not my husband. You're not my God. Go. Leave. I don't care if you're in a camp. God is king. God is king. There is no middleman. It's God, man, woman, and children. And then when you hear them say God and country, they didn't say Jesus, did they? How foolish can we be? Note the words of people. Many of them know what they're talking about. Some just regurgitating what they hear. But either way, Gideon said unto thee, I will not rule over you, neither shall my son rule over you. The I am shall rule over you. Now this is where the abomination comes, where men want men to rule over them instead of God. This is a downfall, the very downfall of Israel. This is where at first Israel is beginning to fall. This is where Israel is begin to be nothing, no more, because they want to be as the heathen. And verse 24, and Gideon said unto them, I would desire a request of you, that ye would give me every man the earrings of his prey, for they had golden earrings, because they were Ishmaelites. Yeah, Ishmaelites. They had earrings in their head. Oh, maybe one earring, maybe two, I don't know. So when you wear earrings in your ear, you are doing as the Ishmaelites. That's how they identified themselves. And they answered, we will willingly give them if they spread a garment and did cast therein every man his earrings of his prey. And the weight of the golden earrings that he requested was 1,000, even 700 shekels of gold. These were heavy earrings. And besides ornaments and collars and purple raiment, oh, they were well dressed. Whoa! The Israelites were well dressed men. That was on the kings of Midian, and beside the chains that were about their camels' necks. And Gideon made an ephod, therefore, and put it in his city, even in Ophrah. And all Israel went thither, hoarding after it, which thing became a snare unto Gideon. You know, he made something beautiful. And this is just like your resources, Africa. It's like your resources. They go on a whoring after them because they see that it serves them well. And they don't care nothing about you. I don't care how many you let in your country. If you do it, if you don't keep tabs on these people, what's going to happen is they don't care about you. They just care about your resources and what money they can make among their people. And to his house. And thus Midian subdued before the children of Israel, so that they lifted up their heads no more, and the country was in quietness 40 years. Peace. God gave peace. And Jerubbaal, the son of Joash, which is Gideon, and he dwelt in his own house. And Gideon had 60 sons, 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. Isn't that something? And his concubine that was in Shechem, that is like a girlfriend, but she's dedicated to you, to put it right. That's what a concubine is. She's not legally married to you, although she hopes to be, but she's like a concubine. A concubine is one who's like a girlfriend. So a man really can't, he can get a girlfriend, but she's like a wife. There's no vows or nothing, but she's a wife in a way. Yes. Like a side chick that was in Shechem, and she bare him a son whose name was called Abimelech. So can he sin by having these? No, he didn't sin. He had women that were dedicated and were committed unto him, that bore children for him. He took care of his children just like any man that's single and have many women or whatever. And as long as he takes care of his children and have an intention that he's going to take care of the woman also, then it's cool with God. So the fact is whether you have a vow or not, a concubine is one that you will take care of for the rest of her life or yours. But she's on her own, really, basically. But you're taking care of the children, you're taking care of her. You might give her a house just as the wife or other thing. And the wives know about this. But they don't have the rights as a wife. And that'll be discussed in another day. And Gideon, in 31, and his concubine was that in Shechem. And she also bare him a son whose name was called Abimelech. Okay, now here's Abimelech. He called him again. And Gideon, the son of Joash, died in a good old age and was buried in the sepulchre of Joash, his father, in Ophrah of the Bezrites. And his name is, and it came to pass as soon as Gideon was dead, that the children of Israel turned again and went a whoring after Balaam. Again, here they go. After 40 years, nobody teaching their children. And made Baal-berith their god. And the children of Israel remembered the I am their God, who delivered them out of the hands of their enemies on every side. Neither showed they kindness to the house of Jerubbaal, namely Gideon, according to all the goodness which he had showed unto Israel. You say black folks, don't you? But either way, it's any folks. But with that, we're going to say, continually teach your children. Continue to follow the ways of the Most High, his commandments, statutes, and ordinances. And you will have continual peace.
Walk with me.